Hey there YouTube, Pandragon down here, and welcome back to the final round of Disney Couples Reshuffled. Well, we've come a long way to get here, but we've saved the best till last. This last team up may be a somewhat unlikely couple, but they're both awesome in their own right. So on this team, we have the most badass Disney princess of them all, and the wild man of the jungle himself. Okay, this is it, the last one before we go into the next round, so let's get started. First up, from one of my favourite Disney films of all time, we have the badass Chinese warrior princess herself, Mulan. Mulan is voiced by the amazing Ming-Hua Wen, who plays Agent May in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and also Chun-Li in the Street Fighter film, so you know that she's already badass. Her singing voice was provided by Filipino singer Lea Salong, who also did the singing voice for Princess Jasmine in Aladdin. Now I should just warn you ahead of time, there are some Chinese pronunciations which I may get wrong here, so please bear with me, and again, please accept my apologies if I get any of them wrong. Mulan is based on the legendary Fa Mulan in the Ballad of Mulan, a famous Chinese poem. She is the daughter of legendary war hero Fa Su, and unfortunately she lives in a society where women are pretty much just eye candy and, well, other things. But Mulan is tired of being considered a second-class citizen, and she wants more out of her life. She's a definite free thinker, but looked down upon because of her ideals. In many ways, Mulan is kind of like the feminist of the Disney universe, as she looks at the sexist attitudes that women have had over the past, and basically says to them, nope, we're not going to take it anymore. Now, being a free thinker isn't actually unique to Disney princesses. A lot of them have different ideas, like Ariel, for instance, and Princess Jasmine. The main difference is, Mulan actually does something about it. When her father is called to war, she actually takes his place, disguising herself as a man, both wanting to protect her father and also prove herself. And thanks to her, Shan Yu is defeated and the Han army is repelled. That's right, she does what no other man could do in the movie. Girl power! On a side note, I just want to say for a brief second that I remember when the film Frozen came out, there was this meme going around that says, Frozen, the first Disney film that says you don't need a man to save you. Yeah, I don't mean to sound nasty, but whoever did that meme, they clearly never saw this film. Because Mulan is a strong, independent character long before Elsa and Anna came out, plus she doesn't need a man to save her. In actual fact, she saves her man's life. And she also takes down one of the biggest, baddest Disney villains of all time. So, you know, if that doesn't show how awesome she is, then I don't know what does. Mulan is one of the most commendable characters in the Disney universe because she shows that anyone is capable of anything, regardless of gender. And whilst initially she has to hide herself as a man to do these things, when she is discovered, she gains the respect of all her fellow peers. Even Li Shang has to admire her tenacity. Mulan is quick-witted and prefers to outsmart her enemies rather than just rely on her strength alone. This is why she was able to defeat Shan Yu. She's strong-willed, independent, and a free thinker. In fact, I like to think a lot of these traits probably passed over to the heroine of Brave, and one of our judges for this competition, Merida. There, got your name right that time. Not to mention that Mulan is actually considered a Disney princess despite not being of royal birth. How cool is that? She's also one of the few Disney princesses to have a high body count to her name, and technically one of the biggest mass murderers in the Disney universe. Think of it this way, when she attacked the Han army, there were about 2,000 Huns heading their direction. She buried them all under an avalanche, and only 6 of them survived, including Shan Yu. Then later she fights Shan Yu and kills him, although technically it was Mushu that fired the firework that ended up destroying him, but it was Mulan's plan, so I still say it counts. So that brings her body count up to 1,995 bodies. Wow. Do not mess with this girl. Here's just a couple more facts about Mulan. The film itself is actually, believe it or not, banned in most countries in Asia, believing it could teach their kids to rebel against their parents. And even though Mulan cuts her hair short when she becomes a man, it remains long in the Disney princess merchandises. So, there you go, the most badass Disney princess amongst them, and the original Disney feminist. Right, let's now move on to her partner, the wild man of the jungle himself, Tarzan. His voice actor was Tony Goldwyn, known for his roles in the TV show Scandal and for being the villain in Ghost. In the film, Tarzan starts off as a baby, with him and his parents shipwrecked off the coast of an island. Then when his parents are killed by Sabor, a rogue leopard, he is raised by gorillas, much like in the story that he's based on. I suppose I should really get this one out the way now, but you guys have probably heard about the theory behind Tarzan and Frozen being connected. For those of you who haven't heard it, I'll just quickly go over it. Basically, in Frozen, Anna and Elsa's parents leave them for a little bit to travel to their cousin's wedding. During the journey, their ship sinks and it's assumed that they have died. Supposedly, and this is apparently confirmed by the director of Frozen, they survived and were shipwrecked on an island where they had a baby that was raised by gorillas. So in essence, this would make Tarzan's parents Elsa and Anna's parents, meaning that the two are connected. Now, this could be a video in its own right, but personally, I don't see it myself. I just think there's just too many coincidences needed for this to actually be real. And as far as the director confirming it, I think that's just more a clever marketing plan by Disney to try and link a lesser known Disney film into a more popular one. But like I say, that's a discussion for another time. Anyway, come back to Tarzan the character. Regardless of what his backstory is, he's a kind and compassionate person. But at the same time, he's also kind of an outcast in both ways. Because of his training from the gorillas, he can no longer really be part of human society, but there are some apes that don't consider him part of their society because he is a human. His adopted father Kerchak is the worst, and even when Tarzan kills Sabor, who also murdered one of his children, he still doesn't show him any respect, although he does slightly warm to him a little bit more. So as such, Tarzan has to find his own way in the world, but when he meets Jane Porter, he finally has a connection back to his old life with the humans. Although ultimately he does see the apes as his real family, and he's able to coax Jane Porter to joining him as well. So I guess it all works out in the end. Having spent pretty much his entire life in the jungle, Tarzan has amazing dexterity and speed, able to swing across vines and walk across branches with relative ease. He's also incredibly strong and resilient, as he was able to fight and kill Sabor in battle, which again makes him another character that you don't really want to get onto the wrong side of. He has great tracking skills and knows the jungle like the back of his hand, so he can use that to his advantage, especially in the final battle with Clayton. Interestingly enough, in the original Tarzan novels, he was actually given a real name, John Clayton III, but in the film his real name was never mentioned, possibly because his parents may have not actually given him one. Now the Tarzan yell that's done in the film is actually not done by Tony Goodwin himself, because he wasn't able to pull off a convincing one. That was done by Brian Blessed, who also voiced Clayton, the villain. And despite being taught by English people, when he talks in an American accent. Supposedly, Tony Goldwyn was supposed to speak to the apes in an American accent, but when he speaks to Jane Porter and the others, he was going to use an English accent. Unfortunately, Tony Goldwyn could not do a convincing English accent, so this idea was eventually dropped. Hey, why didn't they just ask Brian Blessed to do that, considering he pretty much gave him his yell and everything? So that's Mulan and Tarzan. Why would they make a good couple? Honestly, I think these two could be one of the best teams in the reshuffled couples. Mulan has, after all, fought beasts in the form of Shan Yu, so she'd have no problem taming Tarzan. Mulan is also a great strategist, and Tarzan is great at using the area to his advantage, so combining the two, they make a lethal team. In an actual fight, I guess Tarzan could be more the muscle, but Mulan could easily compensate with that with her quick wits and thinking. And she has had army training, so she knows how to handle herself in a fight. In short, I think these two would make a great kick-ass fighting team. Do you agree with me? Are they a badass team? Let me know by voting in the polls below. You'll also want to check out Morgan's video for her team, because she has probably one of the more controversial team-ups. Her team-up involves Belle from Beauty and the Beast and Simba from The Lion King. I could make a joke about that, but we're trying to keep this family friendly. But seriously guys, make sure you watch both videos before you vote, just for the sake of fairness. And as always, we'd ask you to like this video and share it where you can, and please subscribe to our channels. Okay, so that's all the videos done for our teams. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who supported this series so far. Thank you all for voting, for sharing the videos, for liking it, for doing whatever you can to spread the word. We really appreciate it. You've made this event fantastic for us. Alright, so in the next couple of days we will count up the votes for this one, and then we're going to take all the teams together and see who got the most votes. Once we've counted up all the votes, we'll find out who the final 8 are and who's going to be fighting each other. Then that's when it gets real. It will get damn real. We would ask you now to keep an eye out on the Moon Panda Power channel, as that's where future updates for this will be. Again, thank you so much for supporting this series. We hope you'll continue to do so. See you in the next one, guys. Thanks for everything.